Alright. Let's just make sure, yeah, everything is looking just fine. Just fine. Let me just get that on, like so. So yes, how's everyone doing? We continue the Disney block with Mickey Mania, which surprisingly doesn't have as many runners as a lot of other Disney games. And that's probably because it's a really, really tough game, especially considering it is a Disney game. Which means it's right up my alley, of course. Always tend to fluctuate towards traditionally pretty difficult games. There's a number of reasons why this game does wreck people pretty hard. Most people, though, who have seen this game usually are more familiar with the Super Nintendo version. But this time, we're going to be seeing the Genesis version. You're going to see the whole game, no broken shenanigans here. But there's been some different routing that's been put into this game about as recently as earlier this year. So, with that said, I will get this started in 3, 2, 1, go. So we kind of are going through sort of famous shorts from Disney's illustrious library of games. Everyone knows about Steamboat Willie. And it's a very, very short level. Not really too much going on here, but, well, I guess when you look at it, it doesn't seem like too much is really going on, but they're actually pretty much right from the get-go. It's very important I do execute pretty close to perfectly. Because the thing with this game is health actually will transfer between levels. And what I mean by that is that whatever health I end a level with, it transfers over into the next level, which is a big, big problem. And it is also the reason why this game is as hard as it is. So right now I'm at 2 points of health remaining, and that will carry over into the next level. And so health preservation does become a big, big factor in this speedrun. Of course, the good thing about that is that... Oops. Okay, well, that could have been worse. The thing is, with all of that, about the health transferring, is that death actually doesn't cost you too much time. And the reason for that is due to the checkpoints. These rocket checkpoints here, like that one I just passed by, whenever I take a death, it will just send me right back to the very spot I died at. Or if I was bouncing on an enemy recently, it will send me back to the last point I was on solid ground. So that death was kind of intentional. You kind of are forced to take an intentional death on that screen if you don't have the cleanest Steamboat Willie. Deaths really, with a checkpoint, once you grab a checkpoint, you only really lose about 4 seconds per death. So it's not really too much. However, with that death, we have to take that life that I just took there, and that is a little scary. It's a pretty tight jump to get that life without A, losing another point of health, or B, just completely falling into the pit or not landing on the next platform, which will just cause the autoscroller to drag you to the side of the screen and you die anyway. Now this screen's actually pretty interesting. I want to actually jump at certain points here, because it will actually manipulate these barrels behind me to spawn at the correct time. So, like so, I'm just going to keep jumping until I actually hit this bag here with a projectile, and it will cause those barrels to spawn in an ideal sort of pattern. And I'm going to do that again here. When you run a game enough, you kind of like just start to figure out certain things, certain ways of manipulating ideal patterns. So I got that rope grab there. So one of the broken things about the Super Nintendo version is actually that part with the swinging ropes. There's like some sort of zip that goes on with them. You won't see it here though. So like I said, the Genesis version, not really anything broken about it. So now we're kind of at the calm before the storm moment of the run. I know there's been a few, like, sort of tight execution. Like, in an ideal run, you don't take any death up to this point. So when I say we're at the calm before the storm part of the run, we're almost at the boss of this stage, which is the Mad Doctor. And how I execute this fight kind of sets the tone for the remainder of the run. So if I end that fight with basically no life, I have to take a lot of safety measures to just try to prevent a death. If I have very low life, I also have to be careful. And that's because the next level coming up here, after this one, there is no life to grab. This game's kind of not generous about giving health. Wait, did I miss something here? Did I? Hold on. Whoa, what? What'd I forget here? I guess I didn't grab that second poison there. So you're supposed to, like, fill up that poison vial there with all 3 of those poisons. And you want to try to avoid the bats. I guess I slightly missed that. I'm gonna have to actually check that over after this run is over. That was bizarre. Alright, so this guy takes 9 hits. So a bit of counting strats here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's the 9th hit. So that was a really, really good outing with the Mad Doctor. And you want to ideally be on the the right side of the screen so that you can advance forward to where Pluto's hiding there. So if you aren't familiar with the Mad Doctor short, Pluto actually got kidnapped in it. So we kind of, in this game, we're kind of saving him. And he joins us in our ally. He doesn't do really anything of note. Oops. Okay, so this is why this screen is really, really awful. Okay, I'm in a lot of trouble here. Oh, okay, I got the checkpoint. That was almost really bad. Because if you don't get the checkpoint and you die, you will get sent back all the way to the beginning of the screen. Which is kind of why I'm surprised there's no hard difficulty category in this particular version of the game. Because you don't actually get rocket checkpoints. Might be something I might have to bring up with the people in charge of this game. So yeah, so here's this little auto-scroller here. We kind of need to collect these apples in order to maintain Mickey's speed here. And I guess this screen kind of really emphasizes what drew me to this game a lot, and that's kind of the vibrant animations. Like, compared to a lot of other Disney games, I just find this game to kind of have a draw on me just because it just feels like it had, like Disney played a big role in the animation of the game. Like the facial expressions here, the actual animations are very, very fluid. A lot of work I felt was put into this game, like a lot of care, and that auto-scroll in particular had a lot of care put into it as well. One of the developers actually even took the time to kind of explain how all those effects were going on, and same with this screen here, which, speaking of which, tight jump here, got it first. Well, I mean, you only get one try at it, because if you do miss it, you don't get all those 3 points of health, and I needed that health real bad, because this section here, you need to end it with 3 points of health. You don't have those 3 points of health, you're going to have a bit of trouble on the next screen after this one. Okay, that's, well, we can grab that health there. Hopefully I'm still on a good part of the cycle. I probably am gonna miss this one cycle. So we're kind of battling a global cycle here. Yeah, just barely missed it, so I kind of had to wait on a platform cycle there. Pretty mild time loss. Not a big deal. We have the 3 points of health, though, which is ideal. You don't want any less than 3, and that's because this section here is really terrible. In order to do this part optimally, you have to take 3 hits. There's no way around it. And that's because past a certain point when you approach these boats, the barrels will start to sink, and you can't even move forward when they start to sink. It's really horrible. And thankfully we do have a rocket checkpoint right after that section. We are going to take an intentional death here. This is the only death that's technically intentional in the entire run. Even the world record does die at this point. Unfortunately, by only having 3 points of health, it does mean I do put myself at risk of being down 2 points of health if I take a hit here, which I didn't. Good. And I want to do that so I can make that rope cycle. It's, that part's pretty tight. Like, you don't have a very generous window to make that rope cycle, and that's the earliest point that you can grab that rope. Okay. So that's Lonesome Ghost. Now, Mickey and the Beanstalk has these butterflies, and they are really terrible. Terrible in the fact that they like to fly up and down at a pretty quick and fast rate, and you can miss hits on them. You can take hits also from bouncing off them, too, and that's kind of another reason this game is sometimes a little bit unfair. Sometimes you'll, like, bounce off an enemy, and then you'll still take damage, and I can't even explain why that happens. It's just bad hitboxes. That's all I can really say is the reason why that happens. Okay, well, okay, this is a problem. I'm gonna have to grab that help there. Come on. There. So we're gonna have to take a bit of safety here. I didn't want to take those 2 hits. And the reason I didn't want to is because I wanted to technically damage boost through those other, those series of falling bugs there on that slope. But we didn't have the health to really work with there. We will grab a couple extra points of health, though, during this whole part here. And, good old task bug strats. Shouts to Duke Lion. Okay. Missed that butterfly, so we're gonna have to wait on this. So that's the first big mess up. This screen's actually really difficult. Let's see if we can at least get this, though. Okay, barely got that. And hopefully we land this part well. This part used to always foil me. Okay, that'll work. So, now that we're past that screen, we're at the very last stretch of the Beanstalk level, which means we're about to hit the final level of the game, which is the Prince and the Pauper. And, yeah, up to this point, if you get this far in the actual run, like, you're on really good pace. And, that's kind of unfortunate, because the very first screen of Prince and the Pauper is the biggest killer of any good run. And that's because of these 3 chandeliers that you can get to each of them with 3 simple swings. These jumps are very tight. I'm only giving it 1 shot to do it with 3 swings. Oh yeah, we'll give it 1 more try, actually. Okay, yeah, can't really do it, so we're just gonna resort back to 5 swings. 5 swings guarantees you will make these easily. It's generally the safe way to do it. You can see it gives you plenty of clearance there. And after that section, there's this section here. Wow, I actually avoided a hit there. That's a very, very tight jump to not take a hit there. So I'm actually taking advantage of, anytime you actually hit these guys and put them in a hit stun, their actual hitbox does disappear, and you can run through them. Definitely something you can easily take advantage of with the dagger wielders, but the bow users, they're not in hit stun nearly long enough. So we're at an ideal health value. Hopefully we stay at that ideal health value. Perfect. Now, if you manage to somehow get through the first screen with the 3-swing chandelier strats, you know, you're on a really good run. This is the other part of the level where... This is the part of the level where really, really good runs go to die. Oh, okay. I'm probably gonna have to wait now. This is a little unfortunate. Okay. So, unfortunately, I had to wait because I did not have the health to work with. Little unfortunate, I totally goofed that first part up. I had more than enough health to actually work with there. And we're not even done because we got this section here, which is a bit random. I do sort of force the enemies to do what I want. Nothing I can do about the melting hot rocks there, sort of popping out of the fire there. But we may do with what we had with our scripts there. So this section's a little finicky. If you do land on both the platforms, they'll both crumble. That's a huge time loss if that happens. But we made it to the prince. Now, if I have a perfect rest of this run, I can still get under 20 minutes. Which is really, really good still. That is saying a lot, though, because this section here is pretty rough. I'm actually trying to throw something to kind of shrink my hitbox a little bit, but it does force my hitbox to be a little more forward, and that's why I took that hit there. So it's a little scary to do that. So yeah, that's another thing. Your hurtbox does change depending on your actions. And even worse is that we still have to go through this entire gauntlet of enemies here, up this whole entire auto-scroller, before we actually get more health. Like I said, this game is absolutely not generous about giving you health. We finally get some, and we still have to get through the rest of this portion here without really taking much of any hits. Nice little dodge there. Now I want a good jump here so I don't take a hit to that bow user. Alright, the rest of this should be simple. Okay, cool. And just like that, we are on the final boss of the game. So there's really nothing with this fight. It's actually kind of a little bit comical how much easier this fight is compared to everything else we've had to deal with. But basically, we're kind of just using these contraptions here to use against Pete. And there's two phases to this fight. They're kind of indicated with the music shift. I almost took a hit to Pete there. So rocks these things I'm actually throwing, they do serve really well against a lot of things, but they are ineffective against Pete here because he's wearing armor. So that's really all we can use is these contraptions. I want to actually wait on the cycle here. So, because the thing is, this Wrecking Ball, for this second phase here that I'm going to use against them, it will only spawn on the left side. So, it's faster to force that whole cycle to be one phase later. Now, I should have enough health to be able to actually finish the job here. Alright, so 2 more hits. There is a way to actually avoid taking a hit to the throwing daggers, but it is a little bit slower. You save a few more frames each time if you just take the hit, and that is time. So, yeah, 1958. That's actually really good. So, a lot of screw-ups, but, you know, you gotta take the good with the bad. Dropped a few frames there. Not really sure why, but yeah, that is Mickey Mania for the Genesis. As I cycle through all the cast of enemies you face in each and every special little piece of Disney history. So I don't really have much else to inject or to say to kind of end on my final words. So I will say that I will be back a little bit later with some Sonic 3D Blast. Look forward to that race. What is next? I think it's Disneyland. Disneyland, and I forget who the runner is, but that should be a good one. So go ahead and continue to enjoy this wonderful marathon and this wonderful block too. And yeah, that is me signing off. Thanks for watching.